One of the inevitable side effects of being avoidant is that you're pretty frequently lonely. And this can be a very bad thing. They've done studies that chronic loneliness is it's bad for your health as long-term smoking. So unfortunately, I don't have any solutions for not being actually lonely and bringing people into your life in a way that's safe. But I do have some suggestions for trying to counteract the completely negative effects of it, because they've they've also discovered in studies, and I've discovered in my own life, that there's certain lifestyle choices, let's put it that way, that can sort of distract you from your loneliness. This is Pepper, and she's a very good distraction from the loneliness. Animals are great for helping you get over it. If you have pets, first of all, touching them and petting them and playing with them is supposed to be good for your health. But also, it gives you somebody. See, it gives you something to care for in the world, and everybody wants to have that, to have somebody to care about, and also you have to really care for them. You have to take care of them. They're dependent on you, and that can, make things a little bit more bearable. It seems counteracted or counterintuitive that if somebody needs something from you, that would make you feel better, because then you are obligated. But I don't know, it does work. So getting a pet is a very good sort of helpful bit of advice that I could give to people. The other thing, I feel a little weird when I'm talking. I don't. It's not like it's controversial, but it sort of feels that way. It actually used to be part of the diagnostic criteria for avoidance, was that somebody had an active fantasy life. Um, and it just, people don't talk about that. They think they just think it's weird that, that you would sort of have this going on. I mean, I think it's obviously common. People think about other people, but to have ongoing sort of fabricated relationships, especially as a child, you had an imaginary friend, that's fine. As an adult, that's kind of strange. I mean, as far as counteracting loneliness, I will have conversations in my head with people I know. And then when I run into them again, I have to remember, oh, that was a complete fabrication that did not actually happen. We did not have that conversation. It would have been nice to have that conversation, but we did not have that conversation. So please don't, come off as a total weirdo by saying, hey, do you remember this? And they go, yeah, that didn't happen. Yeah. So I think there's kind of a big stigma about that, but um, they they've proven that also can be a good technique for counteracting loneliness. That if you have a sort of, I mean, it's like an imaginary friend. if you imagine relationships with somebody, then it doesn't exactly take the place, but I don't know, I guess it triggers something in you that that feels kind of the same. So that's if you're completely alone. And then the other thing a lot of people do, of course, is they go online and go onto forums or something like that where they can really control everything. They control what they say, they control when they're there, they control their interaction, they control who they talk to. If it's sort of getting um, too intense, they can just delete everything they've ever done there and go away and sometimes start over. So people do that too, and that is more connective. That can eventually get to the point of substituting. You can become sort of obsessed with going online, and it can use up all the energy that you would have had trying to actually interact with people. Now, I mean, again, there's times in your life where that'd be perfect. If you're working on yourself and you're doing a lot of therapy work, then that could be something that you could use to sustain yourself while you make the improvements, because there's just so much energy in the world. If you're spending your energy on your therapist, then you can't spend it on another person. So if you use the forum to talk to people, then you can have enough energy left over to do the real work. And then when you've made progress, you'll be able to then, use the skills that you practice online in real life. Be nice. And then maybe not be quite so lonely if you can actually put somebody in your life. Same with the animals. Like, I have a cat, obviously, and they're pretty, stick to the house type animals. But if you have a dog and you have to walk it, then you're getting out, getting around people. You might not really want to talk to people, but there's a chance that you could be a little bit more social with a dog, which is probably why I don't have one. And as far as the imagining things, which again, I really think that a lot of avoidant people do, and they just don't talk about it. Don't talk about how complex their imagination, relationships, however you want to call it, are. They don't. They definitely don't talk about how important they can be at one point or another. Anyway, but that's good practice for dealing with actual people. If you have worked out in your head how you would interact with something, you can imagine your friend suddenly turns up for coffee at your house. How would you deal with that? I personally would not be too happy if that happened. Even though I, there's people that I like a lot, I still don't want them at my house. So that's also effective. I think that these things you can use them sort of as a crutch, and then interact even less and less and less with people, and basically become more solidify your fears and become very rigid, and then not be able to interact with people. Or you can use them as sort of, well, first of all, again, to combat loneliness, but also as tools to try to get to the point where you can interact. Okay. So